In this episode of the SLO County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Sweasey, the team goes over the housing crash of April 2020. Yeah, there was one. You just probably missed it. The team also talks about real estate as an investment and how you should approach it from a preparation standpoint so you only encounter limited surprises in the process. Learn about falling in love with the team before the property on this episode of the SLO County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Sweasey. Here's your host, James Bueno.
Welcome back, everybody, to another SLO County Real Estate with Mr. Hal Sweasey. He is here with us. Mr. Sweasey, how are you, sir?
Great, James. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Yep.
Or am I with you?
Be here.
Be together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good when we're together.
We're hanging out.
Yep.
And then gentleman on the phone sending a text message right now, Mr. Pete, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Always working. Wow. But good.
Yeah.
Always working.
Call him out, man.
Yeah.
You must have his undivided attention.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, he was glaring at Jay.
I text all the time during the podcast.
I knew with James talking, I had a 90-second window.
He did, yeah. It's got to be quick. And then you hear his voice. Mr. Kingman's with us. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm just checking, making sure my phone doesn't.
I know.
Off while you're
Mine's on the side.
Yeah. James is like, eyes on me. Eyes on me.
It's his
It's that
time.
volleyball coaching.
It's his time to shine. Actually, that is it. That is it. It drives me absolutely insane during breaks when they go and check their phones. And it happens at all levels. It could be the poly girls, or it could be 10-year-olds, and they got to go check their cell phones.
Or our office meeting. Yeah.
Or our office meeting.
Yeah.
I do it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are you talking about me during that?
No, you're pretty good about not doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
I put my house in a Faraday cage, so as soon as I enter the home, there's no cell service at all.
Oh.
Really, you actually don't get cell service?
I do not get cell service. As soon as I can be on the phone talking, I walk through my front door, the call drops.
Wow.
It's almost like magic.
But you're on the hills of AG, right?
Yeah. It's almost magic.
Well, they don't have electricity. So
I have to pump my water every morning when I go to the well.
No electricity.
That's a real thing. I did not know that. You can make your house so you don't have cell service.
No, I didn't make it that way. It's
Stop
just it is an old house made of concrete and steel, and they.
Oh, you thought he created that?
Oh, I thought that was a thing you could get.
No.
Oh.
that's what
Where do I get this thing?
That's called prison, I think. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
That's crazy for your line of work.
Yeah.
Just be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Have you ever
never go home.
Have you ever been in a crucial part of a negotiation, and then somebody and you're getting ready to deliver news, whether it be good or bad, and somebody says to you, "Hold on, I need to take this call."
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Does that frustrate you?
No. If that frustrated me, I'd be dead.
I look at my watch all the time, and that frustrates people. I'm not looking at the time. People think it's the time, but it's
Texting.
emails and text messages and stuff.
That's like
Either way, you're telling them that they're
that's
less
like a
important.
shock.
Well, no, it just
Than
it vibrates.
anything else.
It vibrates my wrist, so it gets my attention. So I'm looking right now. It's actually saying "time to stand." You're too chubby, so that's what it says. Yeah, it's very honest.
It's like having a collar on. You got it's
It
controlling
is.
your life.
It's like that. It does control my life.
Did you call it a watch?
Whiskey?
King's English.
Yeah. Are we putting off our topic today?
We are
Exciting.
We are. No, it's really a watch.
Watch this.
Watch out. All right. So, Hal, we're going to talk about real estate investing today.
Yes.
Yeah.
We went deep in the archives to pull out some material here, which I found very useful. So I'm just basically going to be a conduit and share this, right?
Let's do it.
So I've been in real estate a long time. I know people invest. We invest in our homes and then invest in real estate outside your home. So lots of ways to do that. I think if most people said, wow, I can retire because of the house I own, or most of my wealth is in my house, what if you had one more? So as we look at real estate, for me personally, it's been one of the best investments I've ever had because I've been able to invest in things, and it's been the steadiest and the most solid, and it's just a great thing. So he talks about the 4 steps or things when you come to buying real estate, and in this case, investing. Number 1 is the property. People find something, oh my gosh, we love it, it looks great, whatever. Second, he talks about the team. So if you're buying an investment property, a lot of times you need like a property manager. If you're going to do it yourself, maybe a good idea. Do you have a handyman? Do you have like a real estate professional to help you negotiate the transaction? Do you have your financing? Do you need legal help? So that's your team, right? So people may get to that. The third thing is, what market are you in? If you're investing, you can buy in your town or other towns or other states, and I'm not proposing one is better than the other, but he says it's important to know the market. And so it might be the neighborhood if you're just buying your first home. Is it near the schools? Do we like what's happening? Are we near jobs? Are there parks, amenities? Is there ammunition storage dump being built or been there? Things you got to look at where your location is, what market you're in. And then lastly, it's what do you want your real estate to do for you? Primary residence, obviously shelter, proximity to school. Maybe I need a place because I have cars and I want to park them. I need some property or horses. Maybe I need low maintenance because I don't like to work on my house or I like to be mobile. So what does it do for you in terms of investment property? People look at, am I expecting appreciation, which is what most people get from their home. Cash flow is really big for a lot of investors, right? Mm-hmm. So people buy stocks or bonds or get dividend-paying stocks, annuities, those things that'll pay you income. You have Social Security. Cash flow is important. There are tax advantages we don't talk about much and we won't hear, but there are certainly tax benefits and advantages to owning real estate. And then lifestyle benefit. Okay, are we buying in a place we like, a neighborhood we like? Am I buying a second home in an area I go to? Am I buying investment property that's maybe near my kids or my family or my parents? So what are all those factors? So here's what he said that I think is the most important lesson to this. And this was under a gentleman named Ken McElroy, who's a very good real estate investment kind of advisor, kind of a speaker, that kind of guy. And he was interviewing this gentleman from Alaska. He says, people have it all backwards, okay? And it's not the property, the team, the market, and then you and what you want. It should be first you and what you want. So what is it you're looking for in your home or your investment? Do I want appreciation because I've got a good job, or do I want it to be where I'm going to pay it off or have rents and generate cash flow? And do I have a lot of high taxes that I pay, so I need tax advantages? So look at that first. Second would be look at the market. So as an investor, he used the example, a small town of 6,000 people may not be a great place versus a burgeoning town where there's a lot of industry going on, job opportunities, a lot of people, inflow of population, that sort of thing. And there's lots of inflows and outflows in terms of counties and states. I don't know for sure, but Jay, you're really good at this. Do we have net inflows here? I think this was one of the few counties when the economy was faltering 3 or 4 years ago. It's like most of California is seeing outflows, but we were seeing inflows. Do you keep track of these global things?
We were seeing an influx of people coming, especially from the major metros like San Francisco, Los Angeles, the Bay Area. Yeah. Because, especially during the pandemic, where were you supposed to be sheltered? Yeah, in home, and you moved to the city because you like the theater and the music and the food and the lifestyle. Well, when all that stopped, they decided to go somewhere where they could walk on the beach and take a hike on the mountain. Right. And so we did see, but we have always seen people come here. We have one of the highest underemployment rates in the nation. We got these kids coming here for school. They graduate and then they don't want to leave. Right. Well over 40% of our homes are non-owner occupied. Right. Because we've got so many people that live here that number one can't afford to live to buy a home, but rents are getting to a point now where we're talking about investing. I mean, heck, why wouldn't you be an investor here? Because the rents are there's more than some mortgages, a lot of mortgages.
Yeah. Rents are terrible.
Yeah. If you're a renter, absolutely.
Yes,
But if you're an investor, what a great opportunity. You can almost, we look at, capitalization rates, cap rates. People talk a lot about cap rates when you're looking at properties. Gross rent multipliers is another tool you can use to value property. But the cap rates here are relatively low because the values are so high. Yes. And to your point, a lot of people are looking, what are you looking for? You get appreciation, which is pay me later, and then you get cash flow, which is pay me now. Right. And, a great investor is looking for a little of both. But if you look at a true investor, a true investor looks at the internal rate of return, or the IRR, which is what did I get in cash flow, positive and negative, over the life of my hold, and what did I get in appreciation at the time of sale. So you never really know the internal rate of return until you sell. But appreciation oftentimes far outweighs the cash flows.
So whether we have inflows or outflows, but mostly inflows, if you look at the history of real estate here between appreciation and increasing rents, both have been upward. So that's number 2 on his list. Hey, your team, super important, right? If you're going to invest somewhere, you need to find a good manager. If you're going out of your area, you need to have a good lending source. How do you get your financing? You may need some legal advice. Obviously, a real estate agent to help you guide all those things. And then the last thing, after all those things, then you go look at the property or identify with those constraints around it.
Sure.
So I just thought that was really, really fascinating in terms of the approach. Because usually I just drove by a car dealership and I saw a pretty car, I'm going to buy it. Now it's a 2-seater and I've got a family of 7. Oops. So I think it made a lot of sense, and that's why I thought I'd bring it up today. And
be careful with this question, Hal.
Yes.
What about a property management company?
Meaning?
Is that something that you should investigate if you're going to?
So for a first-time investor, it's tricky because when you buy maybe that first property and you're making $50 a month after everything, and then you're paying a manager, let's say 10% on $2,000, that's $200 a month. Now you're a negative $150. Tendency would be, I'll do it myself. Now, some people know themselves well enough, and hey, I'm there every day. I'm good at checking people's references before I put them in my building. I'm going to go check on things. I'm going to go mow the lawn or get it mowed, and I'm going to make sure it's all painted in good condition. A property manager is an investment, and you may not be able to afford it, but the downside is a little bit risky.
Right.
It's kind of like, not as bad, but kind of like selling your house on your own. You know, there's definitely a cost to hire a real estate broker, but the benefit between the price you get, the quality of the buyer, the time, that sort of thing, almost always makes up for it. I'm a fan of management. Now, I have a management company, and because I have that company, California law keeps me from managing my properties through the company.
Your personal properties.
My personal properties.
Right.
Can't do that. So I have managers, except on one. Here's what the managed properties do. They generate much more cash flow. The ones that I manage, we haven't raised rents in a long time because I know the people, right? So it becomes a personal thing versus a business transaction. Okay, good, bad, and different. That's just the way it is. I would say if you're looking to invest in real estate, just factor in a manager. And if you want to be that person and try to save that, 8, 10%, whatever it turns out to be, look at a manager. Really good question.
Maybe to start. If you're just going to do one, do it yourself.
Or a mentor. Just help somebody manage their property and see if you even want to do it.
Yeah.
Don't buy your property and go, I'm going to try to be a manager.
There was a movie that came out in the 80s with Michael Keaton in it called Pacific Heights. If you're thinking about managing a property yourself, watch that movie first.
I think I remember some gruesomeness. I think I know that.
Watch that movie.
Yeah.
It'll put you on point.
Pacific Heights or Nightmare? Yeah. Nightmare on Pacific Street.
There was another one not long ago with Drew Barrymore in it. The same kind of story, same Pacific Heights type story.
I don't watch scary movies. I just remember.
I said these are scary movies because they involve real estate, bad tenants, and horrible situations.
I think one of the biggest values they bring is screening tenants. My sister, I bought a house in Portland, and I helped her get started till she's my half sister, till her real father said he can help with that. So I got her into the house. They got a low mortgage. They paid, I don't know, $220 for the house, and now it's worth like $400. And this was 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know what it was. And I go, Roberta, and they live like month to month. And I said, boy, what if you would have bought another house at that same time? They could have made it happen. They could have bought a second house, and their net worth would have doubled. But she was like, tenants, So that is the biggest misnomer that people don't understand. It's like being an employer. Employee. Yeah. You just have to know someone who knows how to screen the people you're entering a business relationship in. Right. In this case, a property owner, a provider of housing, which is called now, not a landlord, provider of housing and the occupant. And I always say I can never be a landlord and screen tenants because everybody I meet, I think, they're great. Yeah.
Right. So, how many people just in everyday life do you think, that person's good?
I just have a positive output. It's like great. It has a double-edged sword versus the very cautious person that's not as fun to go to a party with, but is a better landlord because they're show me this, prove that, I want to see this, tell me this, checking everything. So that's a skill set. Those 4 things are interesting. I'm going to add one more point he brought up. This gentleman, who's a successful investor, I believe, who was a guest on this show, the tagline that got my attention, why there's 100% certainty of a market crash. He says there's 100% certainty of a market crash in this era because it's already occurred. Said it happened, the market crash, in April 2020, more than 3 years ago. It was a housing supply crash. People stopped building. People didn't put their homes on the market. Not a crash. It's not a price crash, which is what people are expecting. We talk about this a lot here. This supply crash hedges against a price crash. So he said back in 2016, we typically have around 1.5 million homes for sale nationwide, 1.5, 1.6 million homes. It plummeted in April 2020, COVID, right, to 600,000. So 1.6 down to 600,000 units, and it still really hasn't rebounded. So it's continued to fall, and that's why it's been buoyed our prices here. And it's really nationwide. Cost of construction, the cost of renting, the limited supply because so many people have good mortgage rates is keeping the supply down. So he called it, we've already had our crash, which is the lack of supply. When you keep asking me about prices, that's the overriding factor that buoys prices up. And I don't know how low the demand has to go for it to start to affect prices or the supply to go up.
You know what's interesting? I was looking at some statistics yesterday that nationwide, every single year for the past 15 years, they've been tracking the online inquiries. July is peaked. So the consumer is online looking for real estate.
Oh, right now.
Yeah, more in
nationwide
July.
Online
every
inquiries.
year it peaks in July.
Oh, okay. So seasonally, and this year's not different.
Not different than any other year.
July is the peak year. Okay.
Yeah.
Peak month for inquiries.
Yeah, kind of an interesting.
Huh.
Why,
Yeah.
is that because people are at home with their families?
The
kids are out of school.
Some are settled in. They've realized, okay, before the kids go back, maybe we're going to buy. You know, there's probably a lot of reasons, but it's just a number that's been tracked for the past
summer
little
vacation, more
decade.
Netflix subscriptions too. I don't know. I mean, really,
Who knows what it means?
Well, before the podcast, we were just looking at our website stats. We're almost at 20,000 views.
20,000
20,000 visits, sorry. For
visits.
Our webpage, yeah. Unique
Well, I
visits.
visit probably once a week.
Yeah, it's unique, so it's
Well, I think
individual.
I think Jay brought it up in because of the pandemic, real estate all of a sudden it went from being just either an investment or a place to live to being a necessity because we all realize the importance of our homes and probably fixing your cost and not being enslaved to whatever. What did you call? What is the proper term? It can't be called landlord anymore.
Provider of housing.
Housing.
I'm not sure.
What your provider of housing can do, to you for, being in a house. I mean, it became all of a sudden important, and it has remained a hot button topic. The entirety of it, it didn't go away because the pandemics, kind of faded off into the oblivion. It's still, everybody realized the importance of a home as an investment and a place to live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the online shopping. Well, I mean, people used to find real estate in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Now it's just, why would you, I mean, it's instantaneous, it's fast, you got more detail and shopping online. I've never been a big online shopper, but like travel, boy, you can see pictures of everything. I mean, you can learn so much about a place in 20 clicks or whatever on your thing. So, I mean, it's just the number of eyes that see things is wild, and it's everywhere.
This isn't a knock, but in North County, they're still doing a magazine for home listings. That's, I can't imagine that being super effective.
North County.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like newspaper subscriptions are probably not doing as good as they used
Right.
to.
Yeah.
You never read the Paso Robles magazine? It's fascinating. I'm not talking about just the real estate magazine.
You must live in North County.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm defending my
Right.
turf.
Public-
So there's good writing.
And what's your defense?
Yeah.
Let's talk about your defense.
My
please.
defense
Yes.
is we live a more traditional lifestyle. We pick up a magazine, open it up from time to time.
That's awesome.
Enjoy it.
That's because you know how to read.
Good for you.
Very
Yeah, exactly.
It's very relaxing.
Yeah, it's very slow of you. Good job. Yeah.
We started talking about investments, and I think it's important to note that there are in real estate there are a couple of different. There are multiple categories of investment in real estate. Your primary residence, where you live, where you shelter, when you need it from the night and the cold and the rain, it's passive investment. It's a property that you buy that provides you income. Although people don't, I don't think real estate is actually categorized as a passive investment, but if you have a property management and a team in place, it absolutely can be.
Right.
And it's the only investment that I'm aware of where you can leverage 70% of the purchase price.
Yeah.
I can't buy stock. I can't buy mutual funds on margin like that. The margin's super small, and they have the right to call that margin at any given time. And if you buy an investment, at 70% loan to value, you only have to come up with 30% of the down payment, but you get 100% of the rents. Yeah, there's a mortgage to take care of, but you're getting appreciation on 100% of that purchase price. So you're getting appreciation on the 70% that you didn't have to front the cash for.
Right.
I mean, wow, what a way to go. I think that's a solid way to invest. And I think for a lot of people, that's the barrier to entry. It's like, okay, where's that 30% coming from?
I don't really like to qualify your home as an investment, but it becomes one because at the end of most people's working lives,
And you've got
especially if you live in California,
Yeah.
boy, that's like our biggest nest egg is in this house that provided us shelter and it's got paid for, and and I got to deduct my interest on my mortgage while I was paying it. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
right.
And if you're
it's
not
just
paying,
if what and like I look at my folks, it's like, oh, I wish I would have kept that one house here or one house there. Just stretched and borrowed a little bit more and worked a little bit harder, and then I would have had two. That doubling virtually most people's net worth.
Well, that's kind of a mind blow to think about that. Like just owning a second house will double your net worth if your majority of your assets and majority of your net worth is in your house.
Majority of this country, yeah. Most of our net wealth in our home. So, yeah.
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to share?
No, just thanks to our viewers. Thanks. You have
listeners.
Listeners. Yeah. Oh, they're not viewing.
Luckily, they can't see
I feel like I'm being viewed.
They get to see that new picture of you guys.
Yeah.
It is. That's
you made a new graphic.
Photo.
Everybody's incled in that picture.
I know.
Not
I
just,
put Jay on there.
Not just Hal.
Yeah.
You got to have the team
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all of us. Not just Hal. It's
my massive ego.
There it is, Jay. Did you see you're on the new?
Oh, right.
Well, look at that. We're so snazzy.
That's impressive.
So now
Wait, we're missing somebody.
We are.
Oh, that's fine.
I couldn't find a picture of Jeff.
That's the engineer.
He is the engineer. He's in the background somewhere.
I'm behind the microphone inside the house.
He's inside that house in the window.
My question for you is, how did you get JT out of the Hawaiian
That's an
shirt?
old picture.
That's what I thought. I thought you looked a little younger.
Yeah, that's an old picture. He said the same thing. He's like, he questioned me.
Where'd you find that?
Yeah. That's when he first got here.
Yeah,
assuming.
I love it.
Thank you so much, everybody that listens to our podcast. We always take questions and topic suggestions. Email Hal, Hal at teamswayze.com, or myself, James at teamswayze.com. You can give Hal a call, 805-713-3750. And thank you again. We will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Hal Sweasey podcast. Be sure to subscribe and rate this podcast. It comes out every Monday, so check for it in your feed for the latest information on the San Luis Obispo County market. The SLO County Real Estate with Hal Sweasey podcast is available wherever you get your podcast and on halsweasey.com, where you can find current listings and other real estate tips. halsweasey.com, that's HALSWEASEY.com. I am James Bueno, Director of Marketing for the Hal Sweasey Group. If you're looking for anything real estate, give us a call, 805-781-3750.
Hal Sweasey is a licensed California real estate broker. DRE number 01111-911. The SLO County Real Estate with Hal Sweasey podcast is a production of AGM Podcasts. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.